Okay. Yes. So, Kim Tad Brahma, Kim Adhyatam, Kim Karma Purushottama, Adi Bhutam, Adi Devam. So there are 5 things he's asking here, Arjun. And then in the next one, he asks Adhiyagya Katham Koatra. How does a person Dehi Asmin? How does this Adhiyagya live in the body? And then Prayanikali. So in total, there are 8 questions that Arjun asks. Right? So 5 are in the first one, and then 3 are in the second one. And what Arjun does is, sorry, not Arjun. What Krishna does is he uh, he answers 7 of them in the next 2 verses. So 3 and 4, he'll answer all of these. But the 8th one, Prayad Kalecha Katham, Krishna takes the whole chapter to answer that question. So you can imagine how important it is for Krishna to tell us and for us to imbibe this aspect of Prayad Kale. And we'll come to it. So let's start from here. So these questions are coming from the 7th chapter, as we mentioned that, right? See, if you see the last 2 verses, these words are there. Kim tad brahma, kim adhyatam, kim karma purushottama. I'm quoting the verse from the 8th chapter to you. Adi bhutadi daivamam sadhi yagna chaye vidhu pran. So these are all the words that Arjun is using and asking a meaning to Krishna for. That's what's happening here. And this is setting up the stage for the 8th chapter to begin. So Arjun is asking this question. Kim tad brahma, kim adhyatam, kim karma purushottama, adi bhutam cha kim prukta, adi devam kim uchyate. Before I jump into this, let me quickly show you that I always share the acronym for the chapter, and I could show it. So the acronym for this chapter is DEAD. Makes sense because this chapter is about death. So the first to 4th verse, Arjun's doubts and Krishna's answer. 5 to 8, what happens in the end life, right? And then Krishna goes on to speak about attaining the supreme. He'll say, because, okay, Krishna is asking Arjun to remember Prayan Kali at the time of death. So Krishna has to give details. In what form do I remember? What a person should remember Krishna? So then Krishna goes on. So he elaborates that last question of Prayan Kali for the whole of the chapter, which is 28 verses. Okay. So let's go back to our chapter. So DEAD is the acronym. Okay, there we are. Oops. So as I was saying, this chapter is also called Akshar Brahma Yoga. Because Krishna's answer in the 3rd verse starts with Akshara. Akshara Parama Brahman Subhava Dhyatma Uchyate. Bhuta Bhava Bhava Karo Visarga Karma Shangi. This is Aksharam here. That's why this chapter is called Akshar Brahma Yoga. That's why it's called. Right? And in English, it's called Attaining the Supreme. Right? So 7th verse, knowledge of the absolute. And now this one is how to attain the absolute. So Arjun is asking here, let's read that. I'm done with 3rd verse, 1st verse. O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? Okay. What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. Right? So, and we will see what each one of these means when Krishna answers those questions. Right? And Prabhupada is highlighting that why is Arjun addressing Krishna as Purushottama? Because he is not putting these questions to a friend, but to the Supreme Person, knowing him to be the supreme authority, able to give definitive answers. So that's what Krishna is. That's why Arjun is calling Krishna Purushottama. Right? So, and then Prabhupada is talking about Brahman here because there's a question about Brahman. Prabhupada has brought out the concept of Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. And then he's also telling us, yes, so there's one aspect of Krishna that is called Brahman, but then the living entity is also called Brahman. So Prabhupada is clarifying this doubt so that we may not think that, only Brahman means only one thing. Okay? if you, for example, in the 14th chapter, Krishna says, Brahmano hi pratishtaham. So he's saying Brahman. So there, Krishna is referring to Brahman as the Brahm Jyoti. So there's a difference, right? Then in the 14th chapter, also earlier on, I think in the third verse, Krishna says, Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma. So there the word Brahma refers to total material substance. So what I'm highlighting here is, and I have mentioned this in the past, don't just assume that one word means one thing, right? So the word Brahman, I've just told you, it has three different meanings. Living entity, 1427, it's Brahm Jyoti, 14.3, it's material substance. And similarly, the word Atma can also mean multiple meanings, right? So, for example, in the I think it's in the fourth chapter we did, right? Sarvindriya Karmani. I forgot the verse. There was a verse that talked about Atma Samyamya Yogagno. So there, the word Atma means mind, right? Even in the sixth chapter, we read Atmeva hi Atmano Bandhur Atmeva Ripuratmana. So Atma can mean mind, right? Uh, then in the sixth chapter also there was the word Yogatma Vishuddhai. So there the word Atma means heart, right? Or it can mean body. So again, what I'm highlighting here is be careful when a word comes, be careful to see the meaning of that verse, especially these two words, Atma and Brahman, because they're used in very different ways across Bhagavad Gita. And so that's what Krishna is doing here. Calling Krishna Purushottam because he's not impersonal. And Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he's a supreme person. And he's a supreme person. So Supreme Personality of Godhead, meaning that he's supreme means he's supreme. Nobody's beyond him. Personality means he's a person. Right? And then Godhead means he is the one from whom every other so-called incarnation emanates. That's why Prabhupada created that phrase, Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that people are not confused that, oh, he's an impersonal or somebody. Krishna, Bhagavan is a person. And that is something that Prabhupada is clarifying here. And then he's also clarifying what I just told you, or I learned from Prabhupada, that Atma can have different meanings, and similarly, the word Brahman can have different meanings. So just be careful about that. Okay. Then Arjuna asks, who is the Lord of sacrifice? So sacrifice here is Yajna, Adi Yajna. And how does he live in the body? That is Dehe Asmin. And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? Prayan kale cha katham geo si niyat atma bhi. Right? Geo is to know, right? If you see the spelling of this word, Jneyo, right? So the word know in English comes from this, because here the J is silent, there the K is silent, right? So it's geo, so it's know, so it's the same. So geo means to know. That's it. So that's where the English word know comes from. That's why they have to put the K silent, because that's the way this geo is designed. Okay, so at the time of death, how can somebody remember Krishna at the time of death? Right. Now, Prabhupada is saying, actually, these questions, which are of nature of doubts, should not have arisen in the mind of Arjun, because Arjun is a Krishna conscious devotee. Therefore, these doubts are like demons. Since Krishna is so expert in killing demons, Arjuna here addresses him as Madhusudan. So Krishna is being addressed as Madhusudan. Prabhupada is giving us a reasoning why he's being called Madhusudan. That's what Prabhupada is doing. Yajna, the word yajna, whether it's any yajna, whether ISKCON or not ISKCON, Vishnu is always glorified. Right? So if you will have hear the mantras that the priests chant, they'll always be chanting mantras to Vishnu. So the yajna is always for Vishnu. It's not it. Some people say, "Oh, yajna is for Indra," but it's not. It's never for Indra. It's always for Vishnu. At least for devotees, it's always for Vishnu. Right? Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada. Right? Pashyanti Suryo Divya Chakshurat Atatma. That a devotee, He's always looking towards the supreme abode of Vishnu. He has always Vishnu in his mind, right? And Krishna is called Madhusudan. Anybody knows how Madhu was killed, or who is Madhu? Anybody knows that?
Madhu is from Madhukaitaba and he stole the Vedas.
Okay, do you know the remaining story? Or
And from what I know is that then Krishna took the form of the fish and killed both of them.
killed both of them? Okay. Yes. So Madhu and Kaitab, yes, they were two demons, and they were actually you can call them software. They were software pirates. They were the first ones to take the software away from Brahma. So Krishna had told everything to Arjun, to Brahma, uh, and then Madhu and Kaitab, because it was in his mind, right? It was in the mind of Brahma. So when Brahma was sleeping, or sorry, not in the mind, the heart of Brahma. Ye tene hirdaya adi kavaye. In the first verse of Bhagavata, we are told that it's in the heart of Krishna, Brahma. So then they stole, right? And then they take it away from his heart. And then Vishnu comes as, not as the fish, it's the Hayagriva incarnation, which is horse. And then he kills Madhu and Kaitab, and then he restores the knowledge, right? So we do, we get doubts, right? There's no problem in doubts. Uh, But the reason we are getting doubt because our knowledge of absolute is covered. So, so that's why we get doubts because we are not have that clarity as of yet, right? So we are suffering from that. So whenever we are in doubt, we don't have to necessarily clear all the doubts at the same time. We can always we can always postpone it for later. If it, we can try to have it clarified at that moment if we have somebody, senior or a mentor. But then we don't necessarily have to get stuck on it. That's one thing you have to always remember. Doubts can actually lead us away from our path also. So what we do is, if we have a doubt, we try to solve it. But if we can't, that's okay also. We don't have to necessarily become skeptical, and then we don't necessarily give up. And there are many people who just give up because they get a doubt about bhakti or about the process of bhakti. Then they just leave everything. So we see in Mahabharata, when Duryodhan had doubts, he just brushed them away. But when Arjun had doubts, he goes to Krishna. Arjun inquires from Krishna. So inquiry is the right way. Right? It's not. There's nothing wrong in inquiring. But then you can discuss some doubts, you can delay some doubts, or you can even downplay them. Downplay means that you can just, there's some trivial doubts, and then we don't have to give it good weight. We just let them go. So have determination and just keep going. That's the right way, as Krishna, as Rupa Goswami teaches us. Okay, so yes, Madhu and Kaitab, they stealing the knowledge. Okay, so Prabhupada is then he's quoting this verse from Kulashekara. There's a very beautiful prayer. If you haven't heard this, you can always Google and not Google, go to YouTube. Prabhupada there's a video, I think just a 2 or 3 minute video, where Prabhupada is chanting this mantra. Krishna tvadiya padapankaja panjarantam. Adeva me vishatu manasa rajhamsa. Prana prayana samaye kapavata pitte. Kantavarodhana vidhau smaran kutaste. That's what Prabhupada is putting it in English here. That Kulashekara was praying that I'm in a good fit body at this moment. Please take me away right now. I don't want to wait till I grow old and then my body and my organs are not supporting. Right now, everything seems strong, so I just want to leave my body right now. So that's Prabhupada is quoting that here. And he's actually just giving us a preamble of what is going to come. What should be your thought process at the time of death. So focusing it on Krishna. So here's Okay. Then Krishna starts answering. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entities is called karma or future activities. I just love this definition of karma. If anybody asks you what karma is, you can say this. It's anything pertaining to the development of this body. That's karma. So, answers to Arjun's questions, right? And Prabhupada, as I said, he's emphasized for us the differences between Brahma, Brahman, and all that, and Brahman, right? So that's why Prabhupada takes painstakingly puts a word by word meaning of all of them. So always look at word to word, synonyms that Prabhupada gives. It's always very helpful. So here, what is saying that the Brahman, right? So it is Parama, Akshara. How is that? Brahma Parama, right? So it's a the Parama refers to transcendental, not to supreme. Right? That's what I want to keep that in mind. When sometimes Krishna in the 10th chapter, uh, Arjun says in the 13th and 14th verse that Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. That Krishna, you are Param Brahma. You're the supreme most living entity, Brahma. So here it's not Param Brahma, it's Brahma Parama. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't mean that living entity is supreme. It means we are transcendental. There's a difference between the meaning of word transcendental and supreme. Transcendental is anything spiritual. Supreme is Bhagwan, supreme personality of Godhead. Right? And then he's saying, Krishna is saying, Subhavo Adhyatma Uchyate. Right? So Adhyatma is the nature of the self. Right? So our original spiritual nature is Adhyatma. So the word Adhyatma, right, is spiritual. We say Adhyatmic life. So when we say Adhyatmic life, we're talking about the very nature of ourselves that's being discussed. So then Krishna says, Bhuta Bhava Udbhava Karo Visarga Karma Sangi. So Visarga means secondary birth. Sarga means primary birth, which Mahavishnu does. Mahavishnu creates all the Brahman from his pores. So that's Sarga. Visarga is secondary birth, where from Garbhodakshay Vishnu, right? He gives seed of creation to Brahma, and then Brahma creates the whole world again. So, why does this world gets created? Who can tell me that? Why is this Visarga taking place? A question for all of you. Why is this world being created?
May I try, Prabhu?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Visarga was created because the living entity was jealous of Krishna. They wanted to enjoy separate from Krishna, and that's why this Visarga was created by Brahma.
Yeah. Who else?
Prabhu, because we as Krishna's children, we wanted to enjoy our own life. And Krishna is very merciful, right? Just like any father and mother. They said, okay, you want to go.
I lost
We
you.
started playing outside. We forgot. Oh, you lost me?
I can hear you now, but I lost you for a minute.
Oh, okay, sorry. So what I was saying is like we wanted to enjoy. And Krishna said, okay, I'm going to give you this world to enjoy. Go play outside. But don't forget me. But instead of listening to Krishna, we forgot about him. And we just got too busy in playing. And we started hurting each other. So Krishna created this world so that we can enjoy, just like parents give like their kids like a room or something.
Yeah, both of you are correct. It's just it's karma, right? We are doing activity. We are envious of Krishna, right? And we do karma, and then so when we stop doing karma and practice a karma, we don't get another birth in this next creation. There's no visarga for us. So that which makes a living entity birth again and again is called karma. So, yes. Okay. So that's what is being talked about here. Visarga. That's
Prabhuji, I have one question. I'm a bit confused here. So, three words Aksharam, Brahma, Paramam, indestructible, transcendental, living entity. So, this is defined as Brahman. Soul has similar feature. It's indestructible, transcendental, living entity. Whom are we talking about here?
the
You
soul.
also mentioned we are not talking about Supreme Brahman here.
Yeah. So it's not Krishna. We're talking about the soul. That's why Prabhupada is
So,
calling it living entity, right? That's us as a
okay.
soul. That's what
So,
being referred to.
okay, got it, got it.
And that's why Prabhupada is saying his eternal nature. His means the soul's eternal nature. Is adhyatma. So we are a soul, and our job is to be spiritual. That is means we are a spirit, and we have to do activities according to our nature, right? When you add the word spirit with ritual, then it becomes spiritual. Any ritual you do, if that spirit, if it has spirit, if you have the concept of the soul, then it's become spiritual. Otherwise, it's just any other ritual. So that's why it's called spiritual. Okay. Let's see what Prabhupada is telling us. Yeah, so Prabhupada is telling us here, living entity is called Brahman, but he is never called Parabrahman. Krishna is only Parabrahman. Nobody else. No living entity is Parabrahman. Okay. Are you all reading the purports? Just a quick question for everyone. You can just raise your virtual hands if you have been reading it. Then I know how deep should I be going or not going. Okay, 3 hands up. Both on. Four of them. Okay, just 4 people are reading the purports. Okay. Okay.
Oh,
Is there
I
yes, go ahead, Prabhu.
yeah, Prabhuji, I started reading like all the way again from chapter 1 just to kind of read it. So I've not read it actually. I'm not even reached there yet.
No, you can read your whatever you're reading is there, but so that it makes it easy for all of us to understand what we are doing here. If you don't read the purports that we're going to discuss, it will become very hard for you later on when you will read them. And you would have gone through those verses, but purports can have things that I will not discuss it because I'm assuming you all have read it. So whatever you all are reading, that's separate. They don't connect it to this. So always read the verses we're going to read. The reason I'm saying this because if you read this one, I can ask anybody of you to explain this to me. Tell me, okay. The Chandogya Upanishad describes the Vedic sacrificial process. On the sacrificial altar, 5 kinds of offerings are made into 5 kinds of fire. The 5 kinds of fire conceived of as heavenly planets, clouds, the earth, man, and woman. The 5 kinds of sacrificial offerings are faith, the enjoyer on the moon, rain, grains, and seed. Anybody who can explain this to me, anybody wants to give it a try. Now, I'm not kind of challenging you. I'm showing you how Prabhupada's purports have to be read threadbare. And that's the whole purpose of Bhakti Shastri. We have to read the chapters threadbare. If we don't read them, I'll go through the whole Bhagavad Gita for you. Later on, again, you will be still confused. So it's not much value. It's not adding a lot of value. That's why I've been requesting all of you to read purports.
Yeah,
So
Prabhuji, makes sense.
I'm not just you, Prabhu. I'm saying it to everybody. I'm not just saying it to you. But what I'm saying is there'll be things in Prabhupada's purports. If you don't read them threadbare, when I say threadbare, means with full focus and questioning them. Okay, why is Prabhupada saying this here? Every single word Prabhupada puts there, it has to have a meaning. Don't just think that Prabhupada put it, he just thought of something. Probably he got distracted. That's why he put this word here. No, Prabhupada never does that. Every single word, every single phrase, every single paragraph has immense meaning in it. So please read all the purports. And in every class, we read approximately 10 verses. That's not hard. You're talking about less than 2 verses a day. If you all are not reading Bhagavad Gita on a daily basis, Bhakti Shastri is not going to give you anything. A 1-hour class once a week is not going to help you at all. Yeah, you might get a degree at the end, but what are you going to do with the degree if there is no progress in your consciousness and your spirituality? The degree is just a piece of paper. Okay? And I know, we generally have this mindset that, we just have to mug up, give an exam, get a degree, and move forward. Get rid of that thought process. That was okay for school, colleges. Now it doesn't work. Okay? So because this is a very complicated thing, you cannot understand this. We cannot understand this easily. So I'm not going to go through this just as an exercise. I want you all to go through this. This is 8.3. And I want you all to go through this and just message me directly what your understanding is. Don't put it in the group, right? Just message me. Send me a message, text message, or WhatsApp message. That this is what I understood. What does this mean? And don't just give me a literal meaning. Give me a philosophical meaning. What is Prabhupada trying to convey by these details? Okay, so I'm not going to go through this today. I want you all to read. Okay, so let's move on to the 4th verse. And then, okay, so Krishna answers the remaining questions. Oh, best of the embodied beings. Is this the 4th one? Yeah, the 4th one. Okay, yes, we didn't. Of best of the embodied beings, the physical nature, which is constantly changing, is called Adhibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, like those of the sun and the moon, is called Adhideva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as a super soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adhiyagya, Lord of Sacrifice. So Krishna is answering the remaining question, Adhibhuta. Right? So Adi, the word Adi means pertaining to, and Bhuta is a living entity. So Adhibhuta pertaining to the living entity is called Adhibhuta. So the material manifestation, which is always changing. And it's the Sharo Bhava is the perishable nature of the material. So that's Adhibhuta. Right? And then there are a lot of these different entities that control the energies in the material world. Krishna says, Purusha cha Adi Devatam. They are called Adi Deva. Now the word Adi Yagya, it refers to the personality that is in charge of all the Yagya sacrifices. And that's Krishna. That's Vishnu. Right? The food we eat is Yagya. Practically, if it's being offered to Krishna, that's Yagya. So we are offering Krishna through our own, which is, and Krishna himself says this in the 15th chapter, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrita Prana Pansayukta Pachamyam Manchaturvidham. That I'm the one, I'm the one who's digesting your food. So that's what Krishna is saying. And then he is Dehe Deha Bhrata. Right? Where's that? Dehe Deha Bhrata. Right? So Deha Bhrata means of the embodied, that I'm sitting in everybody's body as the super soul. Okay? So let's see where Prabhupada was saying. Okay, here it is. The super soul gives the individual soul an opportunity to act freely and witness his activities. Okay, so the super soul has 2 purposes. We are told this in the 13th chapter. It says Upadrashtanu Mantacha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. So Upadrashtanu Manta means he's the Upadrashtanu Manta, the Anumanta, permitter. Right? He's the permitter and the Upadra. Upa means overseer. So what the soul does, the super soul, sorry, it comes with us and he's overseeing our activity. That's what Prabhupada is saying. Witnesses his activities. Opportunity to act freely. So what this means is that super soul is sitting in our heart, but the super soul does not, how to say it, does not force us to do an activity. There is, because of the free will we have. However, when we have been slapped around enough by this material world, we have cried enough, we have suffered enough, then we become wise enough to turn towards that super soul and ask for guidance. The super soul always wants to talk to us. But when we refuse to listen to the super soul goes quiet. And in the seventh canto of Bhagavatam, there is a verse that tells us that the super soul opens to us or talks to us according to our austerities and the penances that we are putting in, the knowledge we are taking in. There is a verse like that. It's 7th canto, 5th chapter, if I remember. 7, 5, something like that. So the more we consciously do bhakti, do austerities, we do penances, and we gain knowledge. Gaining knowledge does not mean memorizing. Gaining knowledge means gaining the wisdom, churning it, thinking about it. Right? Shravanam, mananam. You meditate on it also. So that's the role of super soul that Prabhupada is telling us here. Right? Okay. And then from the 5th verse onwards, Krishna is going to talk about last minute, what we're supposed to do. Whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Okay. Now Krishna reveals what exactly are we supposed to do at the time of death. If we constantly think of Krishna, then at the time of death we get our spiritual nature back. Right? So it's not hard, because if you see, even in this world, when we meditate so much on a person, we start to develop bodily and mental features like that person, right? So, for example, devotees don't like impersonalists, right? So where do we get that from? From Prabhupada. So we have imbibed Prabhupada's nature. So similarly, if we behold the beautiful features of Krishna at the time of death, we'll get a body similar to Krishna. Body will be transcendental. Right? And the beauty of this verse is Krishna is saying, Mam Eva. So Eva means certainly. Mam means me. So what Krishna is saying, focus on me certainly. He's very specific. And what do you do after that? Mukta kalevram. You give up your body. And Krishna says, samshaya. Right? So samshaya means doubt. And Krishna is saying, no doubt about it. There is no doubt. He's saying, there is no doubt. If you leave your body thinking about me, you will become spiritual. You have a transcendental body. You'll never have to come back to birth again. Right? Right? So, we know, and we have seen this in real life. We see many devotees who pass away, right? And they don't pass away like people in the material world do. They always are in a state of spiritual consciousness. So how did Prabhupada himself depart? He was in Vrindavan. It was the Kartik month. He was a immense devotee chanting. Right? This is what we all should aspire for. Right? We can always say a prayer to Krishna. Krishna, if you may so desire, at the time of death, please let me be in a spiritually surcharged atmosphere. And may my consciousness be on you. This is the art of dying. But this art of dying cannot be mastered without a lifelong practice. It cannot happen suddenly. And you'll see, Prabhupada in this purport, he quotes the Mahamantra twice. Hare Krishna, here is once, and he again does it. So Prabhupada wants to stress on the value of this Hare Krishna chanting. So Prabhupada is doing that. Another thing we see, which Prabhupada has highlighted, smaran. It's smaran. Right? So there's a difference between smaran, which is remembrance, versus ucharan, which is utterance, uttering something. Right? One can perform ucharan. Ucharan means one can utter the name of Krishna. But the goal is not to utter the name of Krishna. The goal is to smaran, remembrance of Krishna. Right? Our chanting should lead to remembrance. Remembrance of what? Can somebody tell me? What is it Prabhupada is telling us that? What will we remember? Yes, I know we will remember Krishna, but what to Krishna? What about Krishna?
Serving Krishna?
Okay. Well, there, Prabhupada talks about 4 different things of Krishna: Nam, Roop, Guna, and Leela. Right? That's what we are doing. When we read the Bhagavatam, we have all these details in there. We have his Leela, we have his Gunas, we have his Rupa being described there, right? And then the name is there. Right? So by uttering the holy name, Ucharan, one comes to Smaranam, Krishna, Krishna's form, qualities, and his pastimes. This is why Prabhupada is stressing on Smaranam. Krishna is stressing on Smaranam. The sound of the Hare Krishna mantra is the means, and the remembrance is the essence. Right? And it's not a joke to remember Krishna at the time of death. It's a big thing. Right? Only when we have completely immersed ourselves will we be able to remember Krishna at the time of death. If we have our, how do they say, there's a saying, right? Keeping your feet in 2 different boats, thinking that I'll also enjoy spiritual life and I'll also enjoy material life. That's actually making a fool of ourselves. We're just deceiving our own selves. It requires a special effort, not a half-hearted effort. Of course, whatever we all are doing is wonderful. We will make advancement. Right? Sometimes, but then sometimes we also take bhakti very lightly. So, but we have to become serious. Right? There's this song I remember hearing from some devotees many years ago. I think when Prabhupada was around, there was this song, right? Lord Chaitanya's moon is rising, and it's not at all surprising. And we are telling everyone on the street, we are going back home. So there was this song, very nice song. Some devotees. So, but then Lord Chaitanya helps, but we have to become serious. That's the only strategy. We all need to be Vyavasatmika Buddhi.
Prabhu, you said Nam, Roop, Leela, and
Guna. Nam, Roop, Guna, and Leela. These are the 4 things Prabhupada stresses on. And Rupa Goswami even goes a step ahead and tells us that Nam is even stronger than Krishna himself. So that's a different level, that's an esoteric level. But yeah, okay. So yes, those are the ones.
So Prabhu, what do you smaran like during when you're dying? What do you smaran like? Do you smaran what kind of thing? Like, because Mataji said seva, right? Is it the right answer? What is the right answer?
At what time do you mean? When we are leaving this body?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can remember of seva, what service you did. You can remember your guru, your spiritual master. If you were, Prabhupada says this in the 3rd canto, there is a verse where Prabhupada tells us, if you are able to remember your guru, you'll get the exact same benefit that you will get by remembering Krishna. You can remember your guru there. And I said you can remember Krishna's Nam, Roop, Guna, and Leela.
Any of that.
Remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not how to say it. It cannot be artificially put there. Because at the time when we are leaving this body, we can barely imagine what's happening to us. Nobody can imagine. We have been so, how to say it, we have died so many times in our past lives that our mind is trying its best to keep away that scary memory away from us as much as it can, putting us in ignorance, not letting us remember that. We have died many times. The impression is still there in us, but we just can't remember it. It's not an easy thing. So the mind tries to push that thought as deep as it can. Yeah? So yes, all those things, yeah. So, okay, so that's Smaranam. And so Krishna is saying, and whoever life quits his body and will be alone, at once attains my nature. Of this, there is no doubt. And then Krishna again, this continuation. Whatever state of being one remembers, when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain. So this is another important aspect, right? Whatever we are thinking, we will attain that, the next life. Just imagine that. Right? So, there is this story, not a story, this is actually a real story of I don't know if you've all heard, there was a devotee named Raghav Das Brahmachari, and there was this Mataji called Ratnavali Dasi. Has anybody heard of this story about their, rebirth and all that? Anyone?
Yes,
No.
Prabhuji.
Sorry, I get that. You heard that?
No.
Or
No,
you
I
continue?
didn't.
Or
Yeah,
nobody has heard? Okay.
yeah, he was the brahmachari and he liked the Mataji and he became a woman next birth, something like that.
Yeah, so Raghav Das Brahmachari was a Prabhupada disciple. And in 1973, he died in a car accident. And at that time, he loved a woman. He wanted to marry her. And then there was this Mataji called Ratnavali Dasi many years later. And in her childhood, she felt very deeply attracted to Srila Prabhupada's pictures. Right? And then sometime when she in her early, like probably in her early 20s or something, she was attacked. There was a brutal assault on her. There was this madman who just started hitting her with a stick or something, and then so she felt that there was an inner voice guiding her, and then she started reading the Bhagavad Gita, and then she used to go to the London temple, and then she got initiated by His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, right? And then at one point in her life, she started seeing dreams that she was a brahmachari in her previous life, right? And through dreams, through some psychotherapy, through talking to devotees, she became convinced that she was formerly Raghav Das Brahmachari in the last life, who was an enthusiastic disciple of Srila Prabhupada. And then she searched around to find out about Raghav Das Brahmachari's history, right? And she found some very striking parallels in that. The parallels were, so she was connected to this Prabhu in the London temple. His name was Tribhuvan Nath. I think that was his name. So when she was talking to that Prabhuji, she realized that Raghav Das Brahmachari was also very closely connected to Tribhuvan Prabhu. Obviously, Tribhuvan Prabhu was an old man now, and then Raghav Das Brahmachari was also in London temple, so she used to frequently visit the London temple. That would attract her. So yeah, so she could see from past life regressions, she could confirm that she was Raghav Das Brahmachari in her last life. But then, more interestingly, she also remembered that she liked a woman in her last life as Raghav Das Brahmachari. And she found out that woman. And you'll not believe it, that she noticed that her features, Ratnavali Dasi's features, were very similar to that Mataji. Her eyes and her face structure and so forth. So what clearly tells us, whatever we are meditating on, we'll get that. So looks like Raghav Das Brahmachari was meditating on this girl whom he wanted to marry. So in his next life, he got a birth of a woman who looks like that woman whom he wanted to marry. So it's documented. You can go. I just summarized it very quickly, but it's a full. Mataji has done a Ratnavali Dasi has done a very chronological history she has documented. If you just Google Raghav Das Brahmachari Ratnavali Dasi, you'll get it. So huge. She's documented in details. I think starting way back in 1990s all the way up to 2010, I think she's documented it. So you can go into the details. But it clearly tells us what Krishna is saying is 100% true here, that whatever we remember when we quit this body, we will attain that state. So we have to try our best not to think of something nonsensical. And that we have to practice that throughout our lives. It won't happen immediately at the last minute. Right? So, and we can read books that talk about these. His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj has written a book called The Last Exam. It's a book about death. He started the Bhakti Vedanta hospice care in Vrindavan. And there was a disciple of His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj who was leaving her body, and she was requesting her Guru Maharaj to create a hospice care center. And so there's a story about her, and there are many other things that Maharaj has documented. So we should read these things so that our mind, which has been suppressing this idea of death, even though it's so obvious, we can realize it. And that will really help us become serious in our bhakti. So if you want to read, there's a book by Bronnie Ware. She's called the top 5 regrets of the dying. She's written that. I read that book earlier this year, and you can read that book if you want to. Beautiful book, very well written. And she documents so many cases, people at the age of 90, 30, even somebody younger who had died, and they all had similar regrets. Nobody was thinking about, somebody was thinking, oh, wish I would have been stronger. There was a lady who was constantly abused by her husband, but she never stood up against her husband. So she was lamenting that, oh, wish I could have stood up against my husband, and so forth. There are many such cases. Right? Um, so when we read such books, it creates our awareness. Otherwise, the society thinks death is a taboo. Right? It's not something we should discuss openly. That should not be the case. Right? There was this Prabhupada disciple. She was a Jewish by birth. Her family, when she joined the Hare Krishna movement, her family just abandoned her. Said, "Oh, you don't. We are no more your relatives." Many years later, when her mother was dying, she came and spent the last 3 months with her mother. And then the brother of that Mataji, who had actually just cut all relations with her sister, came back and he apologized and said, "We knew how to take care of her mother when she was alive, but you knew how to take care of her when she was leaving her body. We had no clue what to do when she was leaving her body." So that's the extent of knowledge we get when we practice spirituality. The most important time of our life, the last exam, and we are ready for it. And if we come in contact with somebody who is in such a situation, we're ready for that also. So it's a important thing.
Prabhu wanted to share one experience there. So my dad actually passed away, couple of years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And that time I heard these stories in ISKCON, right? You know how people are surrounded with, like when they're passing away, they are surrounded with, devotees and kirtan playing and all of that. So, and then if the person who is passing away, if he gets into too much attachment, then it's not good for him, so we should let him go peacefully. So Prabhu, what we did is like, we actually, when we knew like he's going to pass away, we started like singing Krishna mantra around him. And whoever like was coming like late, right? Once the doctor said there's no hope, we just told them, please don't go and tell them that you are this person, you are that person, and talk about how you spend time with them. Just say Krishna mantra or something. Don't talk anything material. And it sounded a little bit weird to people in India because they're like, oh, we came all the way to meet him. So you're saying don't even say that. But
No, yeah, it's not good. Yeah, it causes unnecessarily emotions in that person's heart, right? Yeah, so that's the right thing. Yes, yeah, it's very hard, even in India, which is the birthplace of spirituality and all this adhyatmic knowledge. People have just given it up. It's just very unfortunate. We don't read our own shastras. We just want to look towards the West and think that whatever they are doing is right. But yeah.
And Prabhu, like my mom said, like, she remembered the time when people would literally walk in the hospital room and she would wake him up. Hey, this is me. This is your uncle, whatever, right? So we had that kind of ignorance there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. Yeah. No, we should, if you all like reading books, you should all read books on these. There's a book about the Tibetan book of living and dying, Sanyal Rinpoche, a beautiful book written many years ago, I think 30 years ago. So it's a beautiful book. And he gives some very practical ways how to deal with these situations. But then again, that's not the goal. The goal is to remember Krishna. However we may die, we just want to remember Krishna. That's all our goal is. Okay, and then there are so many, even in the Shastra, there is a story where Yudhishthira and Yamraj had a discussion, right? If you all remember, there was this, was it Yamraj or was it some demon or something? I don't remember exactly. But then they wanted to drink water and all of them would go to the water, and then the whoever the demon or whoever was there said, don't drink.
It was a yaksha.
Yeah, so don't drink the water, it's poisoned. But then they all were thirsty. So Arjun, Nakul, Sahdev, and Bhim, they all fainted. But when Yudhishthira went, he was the wise one. So he asked that Yaksha, what is it that you want to ask? So the Yaksha asked him a lot of questions, but there was one very beautiful question. He asked him that, what is the most amazing thing in the world? Right? And then Yudhishthira says that, ahani ahani bhutani gachanti yamalyam shesha sthavram ichanti kim ashcharya yatha param. That people around me are dying every minute. But then I think that the death will never come to me. They're Gachanti Yamalayam. They're going to Yamalayam. They're going to heavenly planet. They're dying. So yes. So if we cling too much to life, it causes suffering. That's why whole the process of Bhakti Krishna keeps us telling us, hey, detach yourself from these things. Learn to tolerate them. Don't get overly attached to things. That's why Krishna keeps telling us that. And but unfortunately, when we move away from Krishna, our clinging to this material world, clinging to this life becomes very strong. It's a big problem for all of us. That's what we are trying to cut down. Abhiniveshata. The word is called Abhiniveshata, right? So Abhiniveshata means clinging to life. It comes in the which is 11 to 40. There's a Bhayam Duiti Abhiniveshata Syad Ishadapi Tasyo Viprayo Smriti. It's in the 11th canto. I think it's 7 to 40. 11 to 40. So Abhiniveshata means clinging life. So what happens? Bhayam Duiti Abhiniveshata Syad. That the moment we become Dviti, like we think we are separate from Krishna, or we have turned away our face from Krishna, then Abhiniveshata happens. We start clinging to this material world. So this is a very important verse. These two verses, please, if you haven't memorized them, memorize them. They're very good to remember. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajanti ante kaleva. Tantam evati konteya sadatad bhava bhavi. And Prabhupada here, again, let me see. Here again, he's chanting the Hare Krishna mantra here. So Prabhupada, he wants to stress on the fact that how important chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is. That's why he's bringing mantras, the Hare Krishna mantra here. Was I on 6 or 5? Is it 6 or 5? Okay, 6.
We just did 6th.
Oh, we just did 6. Yeah, okay. So yes, okay. So now, at this point, Krishna has given Arjuna a background. Okay, yes, your answers, think of me when you die. But remember Arjun's psychology. He is still in that same mindset. He wants to he doesn't want to fight the war. So Krishna has to again and again bring him back to that hey, no renouncing. Renunciation means do it for me. That is true renunciation. So Arjun, he thinks that, looks like Krishna just wants me to sit down and chant. And so, but then no, Krishna in the next verse, he just clears it out for Arjun. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddhecha mai arpita mano buddhir mam evashyasi ashamsaya. Again, the word samshaya comes here. Doubt. Therefore, Arjun, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. So Krishna is again bringing that concept of samshaya, no doubt, don't keep any doubt. I'll take care of you. Prabhupada, let's read the Prabhupada. The instruction to Arjun is very important for all men engaged in material activities. That's all of us. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements. One should continue them at the same time think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's names, one will be transferred to the supreme planet Krishna Loka without a doubt. So, right, so Asamshaya, as I said. Right? So, why do you think Krishna keeps reminding us not to doubt? Why does he keep saying that again, doubt, right? In the 5th verse, he said, Yati natriyata samshaya. And again, he's saying it. So, why is he saying that again? Can anybody think of it? Any thoughts, anyone? Why is Krishna again and again saying again and again saying don't doubt?
But
Give it a yes, go
I
ahead.
think he wants to give us the assurance that
Yes, give us assurance that.
That if you remember me, if you fix your mind on me, then you will attain me. He wants to give that assurance. That's why he's keep telling us that.
Yeah, yeah. So see, what you did just now, you started your question or answer with "I think." When you
I'm
say "I
sorry.
think," that's also a doubt, right?
I'm
So
sorry.
no, you don't have to be sorry. I'm just saying because
Yeah,
this is a common thing. Like sometimes, even I say this that,
yeah,
oh, I think Prabhupada is saying this, but I'm wrong. Prabhupada is Prabhupada. Oh no, I say sometimes Prabhupada is trying to say this. No, Prabhupada
yes.
is not trying to say anything. He's 100% sure what he's saying. I'm the one in doubt. So we have to be, and when we all are giving our thoughts, we don't have to be doubtful. It's my thought, wrong or right, it's mine. So so yeah, so yes, that's a good point. Yes. And yeah, what Krishna is doing is because he knows that we all are in doubt, because we all have a tendency to doubt. Is it really possible to remember Krishna at the last time of death, last time of life? Right? So, will Krishna help me? I was a devotee. I've been a devotee my whole life. I've been chanting 16 rounds for last 10 years, probably 50 years by the time I leave my body, 30 years, whatever it is. Uh, will Krishna come and help me remember? Right? Krishna is saying, Ashamsaya, surely it will happen. Right? So be careful with our doubts. Don't let them overwhelm us. Whenever a doubt comes, just depend on Krishna. Just say, Krishna, if you may so desire, please take away this doubt. If it is disturbing you, if it is not disturbing you, let it go. Don't worry. And there is an interesting, okay, another question for all of you. Why is Krishna starting this verse with therefore? Tasmad. The word tasmad means therefore. Why does he have to start therefore? It's a science English thing, right? Why do we use the word therefore? When do we use the word therefore? Okay, tell me.
Because previous verse he was saying that whatever you meditate on, you will attain that. So therefore you should remember me.
Yeah, it's a conclusion to the previous two verses. Yes. So this is whenever we put the word therefore, like we give a logical some reasoning in a couple of sentences. I said, therefore, you should do this. So it's a conclusion to previous two verses. And you'll notice in the way Krishna is saying it, he's saying, Ma Manusmara Yuddhacha. So what Krishna is teaching all of us here is first remember Krishna and then go for war. Don't go for war first and later on remember Krishna. People, we all, well, not a few, but not you, but devotees, what sometimes they do, whenever a problem comes, the first thing they deprioritize is Krishna. Right? Oh my God, I had something happened in my family. Oh, my job just suddenly became heavier. I have to work an hour extra every evening. I can't chant. I don't have time. You know? They have time for everything. They have time for relaxing, watching TV, going out to eat or anything, whatever. But the first thing people do is they deprioritize Krishna. That is why Krishna is clearly saying, first remember me and then go out to fight. That is why Prabhupada always suggested us we all should do our chanting, spiritual activities in the Brahma Muhurat time. Then it is Ma Manusmaran, we have Manusmaran Krishna, and then you can all go to your jobs, and you have Yuddhacha. You're doing your work. Right? Don't begin your day with newspaper and tea. Not a good thing. The more all these ghastly news, the warfare news, all that war happening around us, it's a very sadistic lifestyle. Don't fall for that. So our consciousness is already polluted with the battle in this world. We all are fighting battles. We don't need any more. We don't need to see into other people's wars. So avoid that.
And Prabhu, back in India, we used to start, at least I used to start my day with morning newspaper, and my
Yeah.
house would be playing like Saas Bahu kind of serials in the night, That was the
Yeah.
worst part.
And people don't realize it how distracting it is. And unfortunately, we are up against a war against Maya, and Maya is not giving us any hopes. Maya is full strong. She's bringing out things again and again to fool us. I was growing up, there was only one movie throughout the day, throughout the week. I grew up in the 80s, 90s, just one movie. Towards the end of 90s, or probably early 90s, somewhere, cable TV came. Now you had more channels. And then we got these phones, and now you have apps, and you have everything. You have YouTube 24/7. They just keep on polluting our consciousness. So we have to be very conscious in the lifestyle that we choose. And Krishna is using the word anusmara. So we know what smara is. Anusmara. So the word anu means to follow, right? Follow the footsteps of acharyas. Learn from teachers how to think of Krishna appropriately in our current level of spiritual life. So we are not Indians, Americans. We all are Vrindavanians, Golokians. I don't know if that's a word, but we're all from Goloka. We're not here to be an Indian, American, whatever, black, white, doesn't matter. We are the United Nations of ISKCON. We have people from all walks of life, all with that single focus that we are a soul, and our goal is to go back home, back to Godhead. Okay. Oh. Now, somebody may say, Krishna, it's very hard for me to remember you. Anusmara. Right? Now, the word anusmara, anu, I said it means following, but anu also means consistently. So now Krishna will give us ways how we can remember him. Right? So the words comes, Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasananyagamina paramam purusham divyam yati partha anuchintayan. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaging in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me. And Prabhupada, right off the bat, he's telling us chanting. Our memory is revised by chanting the Mahamantra. So that's what Prabhupada is telling us. He's stressing on remembering. Let's see something. Okay. So yes. So whatever the condition we may be in, always remember Krishna. Sukhe dukhe bhulo nako vadane harinam bolo re. There's a song by, I think it's by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So in happiness chant, in distress chant. Everything can be an opportunity to chant. Abhyasa yoga yuktena. Abhyasa yoga yuktena means become yukta. Yukta. Right? So yukta engaged in abhyas yoga. So abhyas means practice. Sadhana bhakti that we all are doing. Abhyas refers to engaging in positive practices. What positive practices can you think of from the last book that we read? Which verse is that? Or what negative qualities that you want to avoid in the abhyasa that you're doing?
Prabhuji, asat sangha tyaga.
Okay, asat sangha. Yes, you should give up asat sangha, which is asat means, sat means truthful, asat means which is not truth, it's not beneficial for us. Anybody else?
Overeating.
What was the word for it? Sanskrit word.
Atyahara prayasascha.
Atyahara prayasascha. What else was there? After that, what does come? Atyahara prayasascha. What's the next verse?
Prajalpa. Prabhuji, prajalpa.
Prajalpa. Yes. Don't.
Niyamagra, Prabhuji.
Prajalpa. Yeah. Atyahara prayasascha. Prajalpo niyamagraha jansangha chalolabhya sadbhir bhaktir vinashyati. Just wipes off our bhakti. Prajalpa, we have to be very cautious what we speak. At least try your best not to criticize anybody. No, don't try. Don't criticize anybody. Because we learned from the episode of Dhruv Maharaj, Prabhupada tells us in the 4th canto, there's a verse where Prabhupada tells us that because Suruchi had insulted Dhruv Maharaj, her son died, and then later on she ran into the jungle and died in the forest fire. Just because she insulted Dhruv Maharaj. And she didn't even know Dhruv Maharaj at that time, who he is. He was not that self-realized soul at that time. But even unknowingly, when we criticize somebody, we suffer. So in your abhyasa, not only have to take care of things that are positive, but you also have to take care of that we have to avoid. Things that take away our remembrance of Krishna. You might think, oh, criticizing somebody, how is it taking away my remembrance? You know, it actually dulls our consciousness when we criticize others. Krishna does not appreciate that. Just like, let's say you go into somebody's house, and if that person's house is stinking, you will not enter that house. So take this criticism, quality of criticizing others as a stinking smell in our heart. Krishna does not come. So don't allow our consciousness to go there. Yeah. I'm just highlighting it. This is always on my mind not to criticize. Sometimes I still do it. But we are trying. We should do it to our best of our capacity. Right? So yes, that's what we are being told here. Who remembers Krishna? Right? Now, as a supreme personality of Godhead, his mind engaged in constantly remembering me. And then Prabhupada in the purport, he says this, okay, the devotee can constantly think of the object of worship, the Supreme Lord, in any of his features, Narayan, Krishna, Rama, etc., by chanting Hare Krishna. This practice will purify him. Okay, so now Prabhupada is telling us Narayan, Rama, Krishna, etc. Okay, let me ask you all this question. And somebody who has not answered yet, I want that person to speak. How do I know a form is actually God's form? Let's see who all are there.
Prabhu, can you repeat the question?
I said, how do I know a form is actually God's form? Because Prabhupada is mentioning Krishna, Rama, Narayan, and he put an etc. after that. So how would you know what that etc. includes? What is the right way to know it? And I want somebody who has not answered yet to tell me. Who all are there? Let me see.
So he should be like the form should be reported in Shastras as worshipable,
Okay. Yeah.
backed up with Shastras.
Should be backed up with Shastras. And more
Yes.
importantly, we should hear from an authority. Even the Shastras, it might not be possible for us to fully disentangle those details from Shastra. For example, in the yes, Juliana, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, we have not read the whole Shastra yet. So
Yeah.
how will I know
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is
that's why, yes, yeah, hearing from authorities is helpful when we think of Shastras, yes. Yeah, because there is a verse in the 11th canto where we are told about Mahaprabhu. There's a mention of Mahaprabhu. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam Yagye Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Sumedasha. Now, if you read that verse, you need guidance to understand that it's talking about Mahaprabhu. And how do you break it down? It says, Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishna. So it's Krishna, but Tusha Krishna, Krishna. It's not Krishna like dark in color, right? So it is actually Krishna, but he's not dark colored as we know Krishna. So Krishna Varna, Tusha Krishna, Krishna, right? And Sango Pangastra Parshadam. He comes with all his paraphernalia, right? What is the paraphernalia? Yagya Sankirtana prayer. Sankirtan is his paraphernalia. So it's only Mahaprabhu who had come and taught us this concept of Sankirtan. That's how we know. So we have to always hear from an authority to know what is the actual form of God, right? So and especially so, authority is somebody who is hearing from through disciplic succession. That's also an important thing.
But
Okay.
also, like, with that same concept, like, we have still not heard everything.
Yeah. So that is why if you have any thought process, you should always go and consult with acharyas. That's what we always should do. Guru Sadhu Shastra. You should always triangulate everything we hear, right? You find somebody's claiming, oh, I saw God in a dream. He looks like a purple elephant with 6 heads. You go and consult with your guru. Guru Maharaj, I heard this, somebody saying it. And your Guru Maharaj will tell you, no, this is all nonsense. Nothing like that exists in Shastra. So yes, Guru Sadhu Shastra, always triangulate everything that we hear. And sometimes, we hear from, nowadays it's the age of shorts and reels. People put reels and shorts everywhere. So many famous Babajis and Maharajas in Vrindavan, they speak something. Always come back and check with your guru before you have blind faith on what that person is saying. It might sound very beautiful. That's the biggest problem in this Kali Yuga. people can speak very well, but they can be speaking all nonsense. But just because they're speaking it nicely, you might start thinking, oh, this makes sense. We all do that. And I do that many times. So I always go back and check with, has Prabhupada talked about it? What does Prabhupada say? If I can't find it, I'll go and talk to my guru. I'll talk to some senior devotee. Always do that. Don't just accept anything that you're told. Especially on shorts, reels on YouTube. That's all just going crazy. Okay. So yes, so Prabhupada is saying Rama, he's giving all these names, right? So Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, Narayana. Okay. And then Prabhupada gives this beautiful example. One example often given is that of a caterpillar that thinks of becoming a butterfly, and so is transformed into a butterfly in the same life. Can somebody explain me this analogy? Let's see who all are there. I haven't seen who's there. Anybody? Nitya Radha is there. Nitya Radha, you want to tell me what does this analogy mean to you? Okay, Nitya Radha is MIA. Who else is there? Dino, you want to give it a try? Dino is also missing in action. Okay. Vrinda, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji.
You want to give it a try? What do you think about this? Does it mean that the caterpillar is actually thinking about the butterfly?
I think that the caterpillar is not satisfied.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Yes, not satisfied.
Satisfied as a caterpillar, and it like always wants to try to become like a butterfly.
Well, that's a good point. Yes, so he's not. It's not about how to say it. It's not like Prabhupada is not giving us a class in insect psychology here. So as you said that he's not satisfied, he's absorbed in the consciousness that I want to become bigger than what I am. And that's how that transformation happens. It's driven by deep absorption, right? So yeah, thank you. You hit the nail on the head right there.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I have the same thought. Like we always try to become or we become about the topic, about a thing which we are thinking about because our
Yeah.
consciousness is always drifted towards it. It, in the same way, like it's saying the next line saying that if we are thinking about Krishna consciousness, if we chant, if we think about Krishna, we go closer to Krishna. In the same way, if we think of becoming a cat, like if a caterpillar thinks of becoming a butterfly, it works in that way and it goes in the direction. That's my understanding.
Yeah. We become what we repeatedly think about.
Yes, our
Right.
consciousness work in that way, and we always
Yeah.
think same like with Bharat Maharaj. He used to think about the deer,
Yeah.
and he got that birth. In the next
Mhm.
life, he was born as a deer.
Yes. Yeah, the mind is not just a spectator. It can actually sculpture. It's a sculpture of our future destiny. So therefore, Krishna is telling Arjun to deliberate his mind on doing bhakti. That's what Prabhupada is again and again telling us. Hey, go ahead, do your chanting. Okay, so from ninth verse onwards, now Krishna has told so much about remembering him. So soon somebody may ask, what features should we meditate on? So what are the features we can meditate on? So Kavim Puranam Anushashitaram Anor Adiyamsham Anusmaredha Sarvasya Dhataram Achinta Rupam Aditya Varanam Tamasha Parasta. Kavim, the one who knows everything. Puran, no, let's just read the translation. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond this material nature. Right? Kavim, one who knows everything. Right? Nowadays, there are so many people, so many so-called kavis who become very famous. Right? They present philosophical and practical wisdom. But out of all of them, Lord is the best of all the Kavis, one who knows everything. Kavim Puranam. Purana means he's the oldest personality, not in age, but in the sense that he's existed forever. Anushashitaram, one who ensures Shashan, right? The word Shashan. Let's look at the Anushashitaram. What's that? The controller, right? So Shashan, the word Shashan in Hindi or Sanskrit is here. Shash is the root here. So he keeps everybody in check. He's the controller of everybody. Keeps them in their position and discipline, like a teacher at school and parents at home. It is out of love that Krishna is doing it. He brings them back on track. Aniyamsha, he's the smaller than the smallest. There's so much of discussion. People talk about Higgs boson and this quarks theory and whatnot. Krishna says, I'm subtler than all that. So Krishna actually says this in it's Sukadev Goswami in the 10th canto. He says, right, Krishnam enam avehitam atmanam akhilatmanam. That Krishna is the soul of my soul. So Krishna, as we have heard that Prabhupada has told us, right, that the living entity is 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair and so forth. But the Lord is even smaller than that, because he can enter the heart of that living entity. So that's another way to remember Krishna. Sarvasya Dhataram. He's saying Sarvasya Dhataram means maintainer of everything. Right? And then Achinta Rupam. He has an inconceivable form. Right? And then he's luminous like the sun. So those are some of the qualities that we can think of Krishna as when we are meditating on it. Some of the things that he's telling us. Let's see what Prabhupada is saying. Okay, right. So Prabhupada is saying, again, bringing the concept that he's not impersonal, he's not void. And Prabhupada is telling us that Lord is so inconceivable that he enters into the heart of that particle. Okay, so Prabhupada ends in a very beautiful way here. Therefore, intelligent persons, avoiding useless argument and speculation, should accept what is stated in scriptures like the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and follow the principles they set down. This will lead one to understanding. So what Prabhupada is saying, yes, it's fine. Krishna is giving you all these details, but you don't have to necessarily go into all those details and get into a technical hunt, scavenger hunt for these things. Oh, I want to understand that. No, that's all not important. You just remember Krishna, we should follow what Krishna is teaching us in the Bhagavad Gita and what we're learning in Srimad Bhagavatam, and then without any argument or speculation, and then we will reach our destination. Okay. Prabhupada is saying intelligent persons. Can you tell me what is who is an intelligent person according to Srimad Bhagavatam? Can somebody tell me? We're not talking about material intelligence here. What does intelligence mean here? No answers. Nobody knows what intelligence means here. Who's an intelligence?
Prabhuji, maybe intelligent person, he is referring to the people who believe in Shastra, who believe in Vedas, who believe in Krishna.
Are you asking me or you're telling me?
I'm telling you, Prabhuji.
Okay, so don't start with maybe then. Say it. You know the answer. You all know the answer. Don't feel shy, because you all will be asked questions as you grow. Not just you. I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to everybody in general. So you should be confident in what you're answering. You should not have any doubts about it. And that doubt only goes away when we read more and more Shastra. If you all remember in the 2nd chapter, 7th verse, famous verse, Karpanya dosho pahata subhava. Arjuna says, I'm Karpana. I'm a miser. Because he's not able to understand spirituality, he's calling himself miser. And Prabhupada in that purport, you can go back and read 2.7, Prabhupada talks about opposite of Karpana is Brahmana. Who's Brahmana? The intelligent person. Right? That's the opposite of Brahmana. Somebody who has understood who is Bhagavan, that person is called Brahmana. Or even who is very sincerely trying to understand Bhagavad. That's Brahmana. And that's what Brahmana means. And that's what Prabhupada is saying. Be an intelligent person. Be that Brahmana who is putting very sincere efforts, consistent efforts in understanding who Bhagavan is, who Krishna is. That's that. Okay, I'll take a pause here. We're at 8:30. Just anybody has any thoughts, comments here? Anything on your mind?